warrior, bend forward, downward facing dog, plank, and relax. Welcome to the latest eating fad, superfoods. Adding algae to a breakfast smoothie. Well, if you add enough other stuff, it even tastes okay. Algae, here it is spirulina, are not only added to make the drink look green and healthy, but also because they are rich in a high quality nutrient, protein. Spirulina may not taste like a steak, but it beats a cow head on in that regard. While beef contains 26% protein, spirulina does 57%. Few of those who promote this supposedly healthy lifestyle realize that far from being new, spirulina originates in pre-Columbian Mexico. It was cultivated in Lake Texcoco, which housed the Aztec capital Tenochtitlan, the center of current Mexico City. At the end of the last video, we have noticed that most animal protein we currently use for our nutrition came from the agricultural revolutions in Asia, not the Americas. So, is it due to this green little powder that the Aztecs did not suffer from a protein deficiency? Hello and welcome to this 8th episode of Edo Ergo Sum, I Am What I Eat. In the last 3 episodes of our mini-series about the Neolithic agricultural revolution, we were looking at what they did and how they have affected our life today by introducing bread, rice, pasta, dairy products and beef to our menu. While they have produced largely the same result, farmers instead of hunters and gatherers, and civilizations instead of mere cultures, there are also marked differences. It looks as if the ones in America, in Peru and in Mexico, relied far less on protein from domesticated animals than the one in the Middle East and in China. At least if you look at what we eat today and where this came from. None of the most important sources of protein from domesticated animals we consume today, chicken, pork, beef, lamb and goat, originated in the New World. China had pork and chicken, and Europe and the Middle East had the others plus dairy. So how did the civilized people in America, those that lived in big empires like the Incas or the Aztecs, get enough protein before the Europeans arrived 500 years ago? It makes sense to ask yourself first why protein is important for our nutrition. Proteins are the building blocks of our body, complex molecules of amino acids made up of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and other atoms. Our body can make about half of them itself. The other half, called essential, have to be consumed as food, as our body lacks the ability to manufacture them. Logically, since animal bodies use the same building blocks as we do, you can get these proteins by eating animals. But, as any vegan can tell you, you can also fulfill your body's protein requirements by eating plants. Actually, most of us do, at least in part. Even Americans, not really known the world over for following a healthy diet, derive about a third of their protein intake from eating plants. In Italy or Japan, where people eat healthier, the figure is more than 40%. So what about the Aztec civilization? As there were no equivalents of cows or pigs in Central America, did the indigenous people there rely on killing wild animals? like their Paleolithic forebears did? Or did they suffer from a protein deficiency? Or is this the reason why they resorted to cannibalism, a lack of other protein sources? The answer in short is no, at least as far as the lack of access to protein and cannibalism is concerned. While the Aztecs and other pre-Columbian civilizations in Central America practiced cannibalism, even to sophistication that they had recipes for preparing human flesh, the number of people sacrificed was nowhere near enough to represent a significant contribution to the protein requirement of the population. To achieve that would have meant slaughtering between 5 and 20% of your population annually, depending on whether you would consume the whole body or only the juicy bits, which would have meant a level of killing far higher than even during the Second World War. Such a level would have made it difficult to keep population numbers steady, not to mention that it would probably have resulted in riots. This did clearly not happen. Cannibalism, where it was practiced, had other reasons than a lack of protein. So how did the Mesoamerican people get their protein then? In part, the Aztecs did rely on a source of wild animals for it. Their capital, Tenochtitlan, resided on a lake as a sort of Venice. So of course people there relied on wild fish for part of their diet, as people do almost everywhere even nowadays. As far as water animals are concerned, we are mostly still living a Paleolithic lifestyle. While it is much more difficult to get reliable information about the consumption of wild land animals, that was done as well. The Aztecs did consume a wide variety of wild animals, ranging from iguanas to snakes, salamanders to insects. They did not even spurn from eating the occasional coyote. Overall, same as for cannibalism, this can't however have contributed much to the Aztecs' protein intake. When the Spaniards arrived, Tenochtitlan had a population of several 100,000 people, the empire of more than 5 million, so way too many to rely heavily on wild animals for protein. If you take our current Western meat consumption as a base, 80 to 120 kilo per person per year, this would have meant slaughtering between 20 and 30 million wild animals every year in the Aztec Empire alone, a quantity that Mexico could not sustain. The Aztecs had therefore other protein sources than fish, the occasional human sacrifice, or wild animals to sustain a healthy diet. They did breed some animals for food, like dogs, turkeys or ducks, but same as in most of the world until very recently, these were expensive treats, not everyday food items. What made the Aztecs' diet exceptional, however, healthy and even modern, is their extensive use of plant protein to cover their nutritional needs. We know this from the Codex Mendoza, a Spanish list of the tributes the subject people had to provide to the Aztec capital on a yearly basis. The list looks like a who is who of the vegan section of your supermarket or health store. Amaranth is there, another item on the superfood list next to Spirulina, nor are chia seeds missing. And of course there are green beans, which, together with the ubiquitous corn or maize, will supply you with all essential amino acids you require. Green beans, despite sometimes being called haricots verts, which is French for green beans, are actually an American food. They arrived in Europe only after Columbus discovered the continent. That spirulina was not on the tribute list has to do with it being cultivated on Lake Texcoco itself. It is an algae that thrives on highly alkaline salt water. Exactly what could be found on the lake which surrounded the Mexican capital. So thanks to their sophisticated plant agriculture, the Aztecs could sustain a large population without having to rely heavily on land animals, or cannibalism for that matter, for their protein intake. That this must have been true can be seen on something that did not happen. Trade with indigenous people north of the Rio Grande. Most people to the north of the Aztecs Empire, what would later become the United States, were still partly living a Paleolithic lifestyle in their time. There were huge herds of bisons grazing on the American plains. Surely, were the Aztecs suffering from a protein deficiency, there would have been an easy trading opportunity, with them supplying gold or industrial goods like their sophisticated textiles in exchange for dried meat. That this did not happen, at least not on a large scale, is another proof that there was no shortage of protein in Central America, even without relying on the range of domesticated animals we have become accustomed to. How about the other big empire in the Americas then, the Inca Empire? How did they get at enough protein? Same as with the Aztecs, the animal protein mostly consumed by the Incas must have been fish. In the region sits the largest lake of South America, Lake Titicaca. There are several rivers, and there is access to the largest fishing grounds of the world in the Pacific Ocean in front of Peru. As for other animal proteins, the Incas could rely on an animal that is now mostly sold as a pet in other world regions, but is an excellent protein machine, easy to keep, unpretentious, and with a lot of offspring. Guinea pigs. They could also rely on the llamas for meat, but since these animals were also used for transport or to provide wool for their clothing, their usage as a protein supplier must have been limited. Same as the Aztecs, the Incas have derived a lot of their protein from plants. They were no strangers to the combination of maize and beans practiced by the Aztecs. Besides that, the Incas could rely on two extra plants. The first on the list is the darling of the vegan lifestyle brigade, quinoa. This Andean pseudo-cereal, which has, surprise surprise, first been domesticated in North America more than 5,000 years ago, and has been the staple food of the population in the high Andes, where maize could not be cultivated, has a protein content of 14%. It has such good nutritional values that the UN declared it Plant of the Year in 2013, which has led demand to skyrocket, which was a mixed blessing. It has lined the pockets of the peasants in the high Andes, but at the same time has made it more expensive for its traditional consumers, the poor. Then there are, of course, potatoes. Potatoes are in a different league of superfoods, in the sense that they alone almost completely cover all your nutritional needs, whether as protein, carbohydrate, fat or micronutrient supplier. This has given them the dubious reputation of being a candidate on the mono-diet list, a food item that covers singularly all your nutritional needs, while at the same time enabling you to lose weight if you eat nothing else. Don't try it. There are other, less boring and dangerous ways to lose weight. Since they have both consumed a lot of healthy plant proteins, the inhabitants of both the Aztecs and the Inca empires did not suffer from a protein deficiency, even without relying much on the animals we consume today, like chicken, pork or beef, wild animals or cannibalism for that matter. This shows that there are several ways for us humans to get to a balanced diet, and the other agricultural revolutions were just as successful as the one in the Middle East. So all was well, and the revolutions helped us getting on with our new lifestyle after having destroyed our main food source by bringing the big animals we relied on for our energy intake to extinction? Well, not quite. The revolutions had one major benefit, but also a drawback, a trade-off of the agricultural revolution, so to say. What this major benefit and drawback were, I have to inform you in my next video, which is called Multiply, then Die. Thank you for watching this episode of Edo Ergo Sum, I am what I eat. If you did enjoy it, please hit the like button. This would help other people find it on YouTube. If you want to receive more videos like this one, also about the present or future of our relationship with food, consider subscribing to the channel. Now back to you. What do you think of the diet of pre-Columbian America that relied a lot less on animal proteins? Is this the future for us too, since we will soon have 10 billion people on this planet? Please leave your remarks and questions in the comments. Bye for now. Hopefully to the next video when we talk about the trade-off of the agricultural revolutions.